We are so excited to welcome someone who is an Emmy Award winner, award-winning producer and writer and actor. It's so many things. The one and only Robert Wuhl joins us. Robert, how are you?
I'm fine, guys. How are you doing?
We're doing so great. Now, we're going to have you pick some NFL games for us. And full disclosure, we did put the Jets-Chiefs game. How does it feel as you're a lifelong Jets fan that the most interesting part of this game is the fact that Taylor Swift is going to be there?
The only question I have is, can she play quarterback? I mean, if she can, at least she'll have high ratings. It's hard. It's hard. It's not. I mean, I'll just this one I can just give away right away. It's like I'm definitely going to give the points and take Kansas City. I'm going to pick Kansas City because the Jets can't score. I mean, if Kansas City left the field, it would take five plays for Zach Wilson to score. It's like they can't score. I mean, unless they turn the ball over and there's a lot of pick sixes, they can't. I got to believe they're going to score. And you got to believe he's going to, the Jet offense is going to give Kansas City at least 10 points. So, and that's a lot. By the way, can you guys ever remember a home Sunday night football team getting 9.5 points?
No.
It's rare. It's rare. But Robert, this was supposed to be different, right? When the when the TV networks were fighting over who was going to get to broadcast which games, it was because everyone thought this was going to be Aaron Rodgers against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I hate to ask you, but I imagine you had to have been watching that night. Can you take us through what you were feeling when you saw Rodgers go down?
Actually, I didn't see it because I was at the airport on my way to Italy.
Ooh.
And I just got back from Italy, which is great. I ate so much pasta. My blood type is now ragu. So I heard it, and nobody knew what was happening yet either. They just knew they carried him off. And then the next day was, here come the rumors. It's an ACL or Achilles, whatever. And then it was over. It was over, just like that.
Robert, why do you think they haven't brought in a veteran or somebody besides Trevor Siemian, who's in camp? But I mean, we were very surprised that they didn't try to trade for someone or at least sign a Carson Wentz.
I suppose. Do you really believe that if they sign Carson Wentz, they're a playoff team?
No.
It's just not Zach Wilson.
No, yeah, well, I get that. Well, they had at least roll the dice with him for 2 games or so. Because, you kept hearing the stories. And he's been there for 3 years. But there's nothing going on between those years and this guy. I mean, you just look at him. And it's like, I thought this from day one. I told my friends, they're all going crazy. I go, wait a minute. The Jets are drafting, using the number 2 pick to draft a guy because of a throw they saw in a workout with nobody rushing? That's why they're drafting this guy? And, Zach Wilson. I go, I don't see it. It's like, it's a Jet move. It's a shame. It's a shame.
Robert Wuhl is joining us. He's an Emmy Award winner, award-winning actor, producer. You know his work from Arliss and from Bull Durham and from Batman, and my favorite Batman. I've told you that many times, Robert. I love that Batman. Good Morning Vietnam. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's funny. Speaking of that Batman, quickly, we just had, who were we talking to yesterday who was telling us about Jack Nicholson? Jim Lampley. Jim Lampley joined us.
Good buddy.
Yep, the Boxing Hall of Famer. He said that he used to play golf with Jack Nicholson. And Jack used to tell him, you just got to, don't overact. That was always his thing. When Lampley would try to come up with these big calls for these big moments, Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson and others, it was like, just don't overact. Is that true for all actors, or is that true for Jack Nicholson?
Now they tell me. Well, in film acting for sure. But now they, like I say, now they tell me. It's funny because I told my goddaughter who was with me in Italy, and she's got her fantasy football team like everyone. And I said, they're asking me for bets, and I don't gamble. My father was a gambler. I don't gamble at all. I've never. I did when I was a little kid, but I mean, it's like I don't want to invest emotional capital I'd rather do it in fantasy. At least I don't lose money. It's like, especially in certain bets, I never understand anybody who would bet the under. And even though it's the smart bet most of the time. But are you really going to invest money and emotional capital watching a game for 3 hours in which you hope absolutely nothing happens. What fun is that? I just don't get that, so, but I'm not a gambler. So, and the other thing is, whatever I pick is great. And by the way, people who listen to all these experts, don't listen to any of these experts.
No.
None of them, because they don't know any more than you do. And do you remember, are you all guys old enough to remember the newspapers when they used to have, like, all the sports writers would have like a graph, they'd all have their picks.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
And by the way, by the end of the year, the winner, if they had 10 sports writers, maybe 3 or 4 games over 500. And everybody else was either 2 or 3 games under or about 20 games under. Always. So they don't know any more than you do. You can flip a coin and come up with the same probabilities. I mean, that's what Vegas does. That's why they hold the edge no matter which way you bet.
But there's some guy out there with a supercomputer who broke Vegas, or I've read stories like that before, and I choose to believe them, that there's someone out there who's a shark.
I'm sure there's someone out there who, does everything. So the one person can beat the thing, so everybody else in the world, the other 300 million, they certainly think they can beat it. This is what proves about, which is the great thing about fantasy football and betting, is that everybody gets to do it. But this is why when you listen to fans, whether it's baseball, they got to fire the manager, everybody thinks they can do better. And when you see the numbers in gambling, they can't.
Everyone except for us, Robert. I mean, we're experts at this thing.
Entertainment is a whole different issue. Entertainment is doing it for entertainment value. By the way, congratulations on the move, I guess, right? Are you excited?
You.
Yeah.
It's moving to the morning show. It's great for everybody but your families. It's correct. Maggie, what time are you going to have to get up?
I'm glad you asked. I'm going to be waking up around 3:30 a.m. Which I'm going to be on I'm thinking breakfast by 5, lunch at 11, dinner at 4:30, midnight snack at 8, and then I'm going to bed. And this is going to be my new life.
Yeah, because unlike guys, women do have to get into hair and makeup.
Yeah.
Even podcast. They do. So
it's different.
It's tough, but good luck. It's a great opportunity.
Don't actors get 5 o'clock? You probably had to wake up early for large stretches of your career.
Not like women, though.
Yeah.
Women, take much longer in the makeup and hair trailer. It's hard for them. It's much harder.
Although you'd be surprised, Perloff's in makeup forever.
Yeah, I have a beauty team.
I'll tell you a story. You asked about Batman. When I did Batman, there was a second AD whose name was Jerry Toomey. And he had done 3. Oh, no, it wasn't Batman. It was Good Morning Vietnam. He had done 3 Vietnam movies in a row. It was Good Morning Vietnam, Platoon, and I think the Hanoi Hilton. And I said, that's all guys all the time. I mean, is that awful? He goes, no, I love it. He goes, because I'm in charge of getting people there for makeup and hair. And if I got women, if I got bloody Jackie Biscuit in the chair, that's going to take another 3 hours and I got to get up earlier. So that's the reality.
I appreciate this. It takes Emmy Award-winning actor Robert Wuhl to finally understand the plight of me having to wake up several hours earlier than Perloff to do this morning show. But no, thank you so much. We are super excited about it. We're starting mornings on Monday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to our NFL picks.
Time for Celebrity Picks.
Robert, you had to remember the show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, right?
Yeah, I was awful to go on it one time.
Were you?
Yeah.
You didn't want to do it?
It wasn't that. My wife has a back condition and they would say, well, we're going to go backpacking through the Amazon. I go, I don't think that's going to happen. And they go, well, we got horseback, I forgot, whitewater rafting. And I said, I don't think that's going to happen, So they really, so we went somewhere else. And in fact, we did go on something like that. And I'm sad to report that this is going to bring the show down, but this was back in the early 90s, and Tim Wakefield was coming off of his...
Oh, wow.
He was coming right off that great knuckleball performance against the Atlanta Braves, where he went to the 7th game. The famous Cabrera, Barry Bonds, the 7 Game 7, Sid Bream running home. And he had won 2 games in the playoffs, and we became friendly because he was a kid. He was like 22.
Yeah.
So we put him under our wing, Barbara and I had my dog with us, Phoebe. And but then I read today about Tim Wakefield.
So sad to hear that he's battling brain cancer, and unfortunately, he didn't want that news out there. But Kurt Schilling, of all people, decided to broadcast it on his podcast, and now that's getting some backlash, and rightly so. Okay, that's tough transition, but we switch to the NFL picks. Let's start it off, and we'll give you the 5 games, and you can tell us, a little bit about your thought process here. Let's start with your Jets. Chiefs.
Kansas City.
There you go.
Easy.
And you're laying the 9.5. Okay, what do you think about the Patriots at the Cowboys? Cowboys are a 6.5-point favorite.
Well, I went to school in Houston, University of Houston, and we used to get every Cowboy game. This is during the heyday. This is the Slovak days. And because I was forced down my throat, the Cowboys, I hate them. I hated them always. However, that said, the first athlete to consent to appear on Arliss when we were first starting in the pilot was Jerry Jones.
Oh.
So I have a warm spot for Jerry. He has been great to me, and I'm a big believer in loyalty. And my motto is, life is always better when the home team wins. So, and I don't mean that just in sports. I mean, yes, sports, but also family, business, politics. Life is better when the home team wins. And by the way, it's not easy to root against the Patriots if you're a Jet fan. So I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys.
There you go. We love that. Yes. And of course, we're talking with Robert Wuhl, award-winning actor, and was on Arliss, which is a famous TV show on HBO.
You went to Houston? How did you end up that? Well, that's another story.
Another time.
Because Maggie and
I can tell you in 3 words. They accepted me.
Got it.
The Vietnam War, and I had to go to somewhere.
Got it.
Okay, let's move on to the Dolphins at the Bills. Right now, my Bills are getting 2.5. Miami coming off a 70-point performance against Denver.
Wait a minute a second. Who's getting 2.5?
Buffalo.
No. Buffalo's
laying
Buffalo's
2.5.
Yeah.
Buffalo's favored by 2.5. My fault.
Okay, I got mixed feelings on this. Was my dear friend Joe Bellafato from the Berkshires. He's a diehard, lifelong Miami Dolphin fan. I adore the guy. However, and he passed away this last year, so that's a tough one. However, my niece Gabby, my brother's daughter Gabby, it just got engaged to a guy from Buffalo. And who was a diehard Buffalo Bills fan. And I'm an old AFL guy, so I think of Jack Kemp and Cookie Gilchrist and, and even the gold kicker Booth Lustig. There's a name from the past.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with, and he's a diehard, as most Buffalo Bill fans are. So I'm going to pick the Bills. I think this is, I like the Bills in this one.
That was a very scientific reason there.
I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's as good as any reason. You can quote me, he's playing, this playing. That don't make a damn bit of difference. Not at all.
Also, people like us from upstate and Western New York, we're everywhere. We'll end up in your family. You never know. You think you can get rid of us, you can't. Okay, Las Vegas Raiders at the Chargers. Chargers are a 5.5-point favorite.
Again, as an old AFL guy, the Chargers and the Raiders are part of my DNA. I mean, I can quote you these, but here's the thing. It was the Oakland Raiders and the San Diego Chargers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Neither of which are right there, which is another reason not to invest too much emotional capital in these monopolies. They will move on you. And they are monopolies and they will move. So that being said, though, it's funny, the final season of Arliss, I hired a writer, Jennifer Allen, whose brother was Bruce Allen, who was the general manager of Raiders, and she, of course, was the daughter of George Allen, the Hall of Fame coach. And her 3 kids were Roman, Deacon, what was the third one's name? I forgot. So, but I like the Chargers. I've always liked the Chargers.
Was it Merlin? Was Merlin Olsen part of that?
It might be Merlin. You're right. You're right.
It should be.
It's Roman, Deacon, and Merlin.
I sense the theme. Last one for you. The Ravens at the Browns. Browns are favored by 3.
Okay, so I learned football from my father, and he grew up being a big Cleveland Browns fan, back from the old AAFL days. And to tell me, I learned about football about Paul Brown and about Marion Motley and Dante Lavelli. and how great the old, and they were the first team to integrate. You know, they had black players on their team, and then they couldn't win in the NFL. And then, of course, Paul Brown goes to the NFL, and they win every year pretty much, which is another reason to put Otto Graham. You're talking about the great quarterbacks of all time.
Yep.
The guy played 9 years, and he's in the championship game every year, and he wins 7. That's got to be in the conversation. So I'm a Browns. I don't like the fact that they signed Deshaun Watson, but they had their team ripped out from under them, and they came back, and it's a tough one because, you know, they got Deshaun Watson. Baltimore, on the other hand, has Stringer Bell and Proposition Joe from The Wire. People forget that. I mean, those two characters, Stringer Bell and Proposition Joe. But I gotta go. I gotta go with my dad and the Browns. Cleveland Browns.
All right.
Love it. You know, Robert, you were on our list. The Wire, you mentioned, was like one, another great HBO show. Was there any camaraderie, or was there more competition between the HBO shows?
There was, we didn't get to see each other. I mean, but we were the fourth net, you know, we were the other network. This is back, you know, and yeah, you rooted for everybody because it was you against, it wasn't you against them, but you were part of a somewhat club. You know, I won't say, I mean, we never socialized, except very rarely in case there was an event. But and you know, and Tracy Ullman was part of that, and there was another show. There was a couple of other shows too. But yeah, I mean, it was great fun. It was a great opportunity. I got to tell any story I wanted, and you know, I got into social issues, which, you know, that was the best thing, along with being funny.
By the way, if you're going to do a crossover episode, I don't think you wanted our list with The Wire or Sopranos.
That would have ended badly.
Maybe Sex and the City.
I would have loved it. I would have loved it.
Our list, actually, that would have been kind of cool.
I would have loved it. No. You could have drugs involved. You could have some of the young people and talent on our list, you know, on The Wire probably were pretty good athletes. Some of those guys, you know, how do you recruit them? I mean, no, I would have liked a lot.
Man, talk about a reboot. Now the writer's strike is over, so now maybe you can reboot our list cross with The Wire. Yeah.
Let me stop you. We were canceled. If we weren't canceled, Idris Elba, who played Stringer Bell, on The Wire, he came up to me and he was going to play a fictionalized version of Lennox Lewis. Because he was a big Wire, he was a big Arliss fan, and you know, I said, well, this is perfect. I can do something on Lennox Lewis, you know, with him, you know, a fictionalized version. But then we got canceled.
Yeah, 2 British guys. I imagine that would have been cool. Idris Elba and Lennox Lewis. That would have been awesome. Robert, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. We'll see how you did after this weekend, and thank you so much for being so gracious. You're right off vacation from Italy, and you came right here with us. So thank you.
And best of luck to you guys. Truly.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Appreciate
We'll call you every morning around 3:30 a.m. and
good.
remind you.
I'm on the West Coast. Please do that.
Yeah. Well, we would understand if it went to voicemail. Thank you, Robert. Have a great weekend.